Greetings, everyone. My name is Patricia Hopkins, and I am returning today to read Chapter 7 of Invasion of the GLOBOTS, written under my pen name, P.T. Hopkins. Chapter 7, please enjoy. Chapter 7, Saying Goodbye. Come on, you ugly monkeys. I dare you to keep up. Zap lured the Mogs away from the rest of the group by heading towards downtown. Without the older boys around to protect them, the group needed as much luck as they could get. That's right. Stay with me. The Mogs tried to shoot Zap with their laser guns, but luckily each time they missed. With the Mogs hot on his tail, he sailed through the downtown area using every possible skateboard maneuver he could muster. He zoomed past the bright red torch of friendship, sculpture in the traffic circle, recalling his mother using it as a landmark for the River Center Mall. He did a quick turn, suddenly changed directions, and then headed down to the lower level of the Riverwalk to get away from the Mogs. Their Mogmobiles didn't maneuver as easily as Zap's skateboard, yet they managed to keep up. Zap looked for a safe place to hide. He remembered Chobani mentioning the La Valita area, so that's where he went. He finally shook the Mogs off when he hid underneath the bridge. He heard the creatures fly overhead, chattering away in their incessant monkey talk banter. After the Mogs had passed by overhead, he noticed a small waterfall that he'd never seen before. Zap stuck his head through the water and searched for anything that resembled an opening. Meanwhile, the group headed towards the portal, with CJ dragging his feet, hoping his brother would soon show. He carried Ninja Commando in his hand, scouring the area for signs of GLOBOTS or Mogs lurking about. Lulu did the same with her keen sense of smell, and every few minutes, CJ turned around to see if Zap was headed back on his skateboard. Hector placed his arm across CJ's shoulder and said, "Don't worry about Zap, he'll be back. Did you see the way he took off with those stupid Mogs chasing him? That guy can really ride a skateboard. When I get back home, I'm going to get one just like his." My brother is pretty cool, huh? Now you're talking. I guarantee Zap will be back soon. Hey, Hector, asked Chobani, what are you going to tell everyone when you show up 10 years later, looking like you did the day you went missing? He shrugged. I don't know. The truth? But if you tell them the truth, they may think you are crazy, she said. It's a chance I've got to take. Look at me. What other choice do I have? Anything else would be more believable than the truth. Nothing can explain why I haven't aged. CJ jumped into the middle of their conversation, happy to be distracted from thinking about his brother. You can tell them that you were abducted by space aliens. I've seen people on TV say that all the time when they return after being missing for years. Aliens, huh? Well, that's sort of the truth, Hector replied. Giovanni stopped on the side of the hill and pointed to the pipe. Look, it's empty, and there's no GLOBOTS or Mogs around. Wait a minute, guys. Ninja Commando is moving again. Something must be near, CJ whispered. They took cover and waited. The elimination truck ambled down a pathway and parked in front of the drainage pipe. Both GLOBOTS jumped out of the truck and went to the vehicle side. Don't move. We don't want them to see us, Chobani warned. One of the creatures flipped open a small door on the side of the truck to reveal an instrument panel. It punched a few buttons which made the back of the truck, filled with cadaver GLOBOTS, begin to slowly rise. It stopped when it was level with the opening of the pipe. The other GLOBOT operated a handheld device. It pushed another button and an electric metal claw picked up a canister from the side of the truck. The marking on the canister indicated it was liquid nitrogen. What are they doing? Whispered CJ. They're about to send the bodies through the pipe. Once they load up the bodies, the other one opens that canister and turns on this high-powered fan to flush the bodies through, explained Chobani. What does the liquid nitrogen do? CJ pulled out his space gun, just in case. You ever see that experiment when they dunk a rose in liquid nitrogen and then tap it against something? Hector asked. Yeah, my science teacher showed us that trick. It isn't really a trick. The rose becomes so cold that it shatters like it's made of glass. That's what happens with the GLOBOT bodies. He's right, added Chobani. In the experiment, a rose is dipped into a container of liquid nitrogen, which has a temperature of negative 196 degrees centigrade. The liquid nitrogen freezes the rose almost immediately, causing it to become very hard and very brittle, almost like porcelain. When you hit the rose against another object, it shatters into 1,000 pieces. And that's what happens to the GLOBOT bodies. Yuck, that is gross. CJ wrinkled his nose in disgust. Immersed in Chobani's explanation, they became distracted from the GLOBOT's task. They all turned upon hearing a sound behind them. CJ turned and pointed his weapon, prepared to fire. Whoa, put that thing away, it's just me. Zap held his hands high. Zap, you're back. CJ jumped up and down and hugged his brother tightly. Told you I'd be back. Shh, you guys are going to get us caught, whispered Hector. So what's going on? Asked Zap, kneeling down with the others. They're about to do the elimination. Once the truck leaves, we have about 10 minutes to get everyone through before the water flows again. 10 minutes? It took us longer than that to make it through the first time, said Zap. But you made it through, right? So that means it's possible. What about our plan to see if Hector makes it through safely? How will we know if he made it? Asked CJ. Tell you what, I'll grab Lulu and we'll run like crazy to get to the other side. Once I'm through, I'll send Lulu back. Then you'll know it's safe to send the rest of the kids through. We need something more than Lulu running back because she may jump out of your arms. How about you tie something around her neck when you get there? Maybe a piece of cloth or something, suggested Zap. Will a strip of cloth from my t-shirt do? Yeah, that's perfect. Chobani watched and waited. Okay, he's about to press the button. Hector, as soon as the truck leaves, make a run for it, okay? Hector took a deep breath to calm his nerves. He ripped a strip of his t-shirt away. He picked up Lulu and gently stroked her fur. CJ told Hector, don't worry about Lulu. I'll take good care of her. And when we leave, I promise to bring her back. Deal? Deal, he replied. That makes me feel a lot better. Hector, it's time. You ready? Chobani asked. Yeah, I guess so. Zap told CJ, if any of those monks show up, I want you to blow them back to where they came from, you hear? CJ grinned. My pleasure. This is almost as fun as shooting zombies. Hector said, wait a minute. How am I supposed to get up there? That pipe is at least 20 feet off the ground. Zap whistled. That's where I come in. I can get you over there in a flash. You figured out how to control your skateboard? I don't want you dropping us. Sure did. It is mind over matter. That's all. Get ready, Hector. It's almost time. They watched silently as the GLOBOT opened the canister and released the liquid nitrogen. In one swift motion, they sent the bodies on their journey through the pipe. Being satisfied that all the bodies were disposed of, both GLOBOTs jumped back into the truck, started the electric motor, and slowly climbed the pathway back up the hillside. Chobani went into action when she was sure the GLOBOTs were gone. Okay, Zap and Hector, on your mark, get set, go! Hector held Lulu underneath one arm and wrapped his other one around Zap's waist. In a flash, Zap delivered Hector to the portal's entrance and dropped him off safely inside. I'm starting to count down now. Chobani started the stopwatch on her tablet. Good luck. Do me a favor, will ya? When you get home, look up our parents and let them know we're okay. Zap handed Hector a piece of paper with his family's information. Hector tucked the paper in his shoe. I will. When you guys make it back, look me up, okay? Cool, now go. Hector glanced back one last time and turned on his flashlight to see. Zap watched until he no longer was able to see him at all before returning to the safety of the group. All right, let's wait and see what happens. Cross your fingers. Hector used his flashlight to light the way through the drainage pipe. The beam from his flashlight bounced off glowing remnants of fluorescent specks lining the concrete wall. Lulu whimpered in fright as Hector held on tightly and ran as fast as he could, occasionally slipping on the slick ground. In less than 2 minutes, he tore through a thicket of weeds and came out on the other side. He stepped into the overgrown backyard filled with mounds of freshly disintegrated, fluorescent green globot parts. He listened. From the other side of the stone wall came the delightful sounds of human conversation, peppered with laughter. Hearing those people's voices caused him to break out in laughter of his own. He looked up towards the sky and smiled. An airplane flew overhead high above the city of San Antonio. In the distance, he heard the unmistakable rumbling of a Harley-Davidson motorcycle, and that's when he knew he was truly home. Hector quickly tied a knot around his flashlight and then secured the strip of t-shirt material around Lulu's neck. Okay, girl. I'm counting on you to get this to the others. Go in there and bring those children back so we can all go home. Run. He smacked Lulu on her butt and stood back to wait. From their vantage point of hiding in the bushes across the way, the rest of the group nervously awaited a signal from Hector. While waiting for a sign, they skirted the sky for moths and the ground below for stray GLOBOTS out on a late afternoon stroll. Suddenly, the group let out a collective sigh. Look, there's Lulu. Hector made it. He made it, guys. CJ shouted enthusiastically when he saw Lulu appear at the portal entrance. The dog peered over the group without making a sound. She seemed to be patiently awaiting further instructions. All the younger kids high-fived each other at the prospect of finally going home. Guys, we can celebrate later, Chobani interjected. Zap, you have to take each kid over as fast as possible. We have about 7 minutes or more or less to play with. No problem. Zap grabbed 2 of the kids and flew them over to the portal. He dropped them off at the entrance and said, wait here for the others. I want you to all go through all at once. He pointed to Lulu. Untie that flashlight from her neck. You're going to need it to find your way back. He quickly made 3 more trips and dropped off 6 more children. When he came back for the 9th child, he touched CJ and said, hop on. I want you to go with them. Go home and let Mom and Dad know I'm okay. CJ crossed his arms stubbornly and shook his head. I'm not going anywhere without you. If you stay, I stay. Chobani said, guys, we're running out of time. We have just a couple of minutes left before the water returns. Or the mogs, she thought, but didn't mention that. The last thing she wanted to do was upset the kids. Unfortunately, I don't have time to argue with you. Zap grabbed the last child and then zoomed over to the portal. He told the children, take this flashlight and run, and don't stop running until you get to the other side. Do you understand me? All nine heads nodded in sync. Though the children were frightened, no one cried. Most understood this was probably the only chance they make it out of the awful world filled with space creatures and alien monsters. They didn't want to blow it. Chobani shouted out from across the ravine, 2 minutes. Zap took one last look at the children and yelled, run. The kids took off in a full sprint, followed by Lulu. Zap watched the children until they were no longer visible in the darkness of the abyss. Then he focused on CJ and Chobani crouching in the grass across the ravine. CJ could have gotten out of here. I should have forced him, but now it's too late. 1 minute, shouted Chobani. Zap stared into the portal. He knew he and CJ could have also probably made it, but there was no way he could leave Chobani. Of course, he could have taken her back with them, but it would be to a world she knew nothing about. a world she had yet to be born to. Hurry, Chobani yelled. Zap peered into the darkness, awaiting any kind of sign that they made it to the other side safely. Come on, guys, come on, come on. Send us back a signal. CJ kept his gaze glued on his brother. He asked Chobani, what about Lulu? Is she coming back? For the first time since they'd met, Chobani acted her age and replied in the voice of a frightened little girl, I don't know, CJ. I sure hope so. Meanwhile, Hector waited in the backyard, forcing himself to not go back into the darkness. He willed the children to come through. Come on, kids, you can make it, come on. He anxiously wrung his hands while pacing outside the entrance. After several minutes of waiting with no indication that they were coming, Hector's adrenaline kicked in. He bravely stepped back into the pipe. He went about 50 yards in when he heard whimpering. Hey guys, where are you? Asked Hector, feeling around in the darkness. Over here. We dropped the flashlight. We can't see anything. The voice was that of a frightened little girl. Hector felt around in the darkness until he touched a warm hand. Okay, I've got one of you. I want you all to hum softly so the next person next to you can find you. Then I want each of you to grab the hand of the kid next to you. Let me know when everyone is holding a hand. Okay, we're glad you showed up, Hector. I'm scared. The replies came from scared voices in the darkness. I know you guys are afraid, but you have to act quickly because we're running out of time. Hector had no idea what would happen if they were caught in the middle, and he sure didn't want to find out. Okay, I'm holding someone's hand. Me too. So am I. I got yours. The children responded one by one. All right, I want you to count out so I know you're all here. I'm 1, 2, 3, and the children continued counting off until they reached 10. Listen to me. We have to go, and whatever you do, don't let go of the person's hand you're holding. The opening isn't too far, but we have to hurry. Hector did a slow jog to the entrance, and one by one, all the children made it through safely. While they were hugging each other and jumping up and down in joy, Hector gathered Lulu in his arms and hugged her tightly. I need you to go back in, girl. Help keep our friends safe. The dog nuzzled her nose towards Hector's neck and then proceeded to lick him. I want to take you home so badly, but they need you there more. Lulu whimpered and tried her best to remain with Hector. He gently pushed her away. No, Lulu, go back to Chobani. Help Zap and CJ protect her from the moths. I'll see you again, I promise. Lulu tentatively stepped through the thicket of weeds and barked once before diving back into the darkness. She tore through the pipe in record speed, sensing that something bad was about to happen. The concrete walls began to vibrate with such intensity that the flecks of GLOBOT matter shook loose and fell to the ground below. A loud noise came from behind, and she felt the first spray from the deadly force of the water. Zap heard Lulu before he saw her. He felt the rumbling in the pipe, realizing that the water could shoot forth at any moment. Poised and ready to go, Zap mounted his skateboard and hovered at the entrance of the pipe. He spotted the black and white fur. Lulu barked at the sight of Zap. Zap yelled out, "Come on, girl, jump, now!" At the sound of his voice, Lulu leapt into Zap's outstretched arms without hesitation. Holding on to the small dog, they barely cleared the portal's entrance, just as a torrent of white water came rushing from behind. Phew, that was close. He stroked Lulu's chest as they flew over to the others. And that concludes chapter 7. I really hope you enjoy all my readings of the different chapters of Invasion of the GLOBOTS. It's available on Amazon and also Barnes & Nobles. Please support me, purchase the book. I know you enjoyed the stories. Peace.